ultimately I just didn't want to lose my voice after every show, and I was just
Mhm.
like, it was like killing me, and I thought singing, like clean singing or like melodic singing, would be easier on my voice, but it honestly isn't. I still fucking like destroy my voice if I do it wrong or like I don't get the rest. Like I'm
Right.
fucked.
What is up, my friends? Thanks again for tuning in. This is the Scoped Exposure podcast. There's been a lot of great bands that we've gotten to film over the years from all over the globe. And a band that still has left me perplexed the first time I've seen them is who we're kind of featuring today. Age of Apocalypse is a band that's, I think, for fans that are like very love all the different subgenres of hardcore. I think AOA is right in the vicinity there. But I think a lot of people don't they might hear a differentiator of that and maybe skip it immediately. So I kind of wanted to do an interview with one of the members of the band just to kind of like, put, not like heavy metallic sing hardcore back on the map or anything like that, but just because this was a band that originally I was on the other side where I was like I didn't understand it immediately, but when I saw it live, all the pieces connect. So I feel like there's a lot of great things to hit on today, but I'm very excited to be welcoming Dylan of Age of Apocalypse on the Scoped Exposure podcast. Thanks for
Hello.
joining me, man.
Thanks for having me. I just want to preface, this is my first time doing this, so I appreciate you giving me the chance. So really
Of
appreciate it.
course, man. First podcast ever, or first,
Yeah,
I know
man.
you've done some
Yeah, I mean,
zine
I've done
interviews and whatnot,
like
but
zines and stuff, but yeah, I've never done like a podcast kind of sit down thing. So
well, I'm
thanks, I
very happy
appreciate
to
it.
be your first, and
Cool.
hopefully set the bar very, very high.
Yes, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, it is funny because a lot of people, who run additional shows or stuff, like it's cool when I get messages, like how people have listened to interviews from our show for research, because I do that the same way where I'm, when I'm interviewing someone, it's like I'm trying to dig through the archives to hear all the little, details and stories. So, but
Right,
yeah,
right.
I'm very excited to have you. Dylan, I don't know how familiar you are with our show, but we like to, check a bev to kind of kickstart the episode. It's tradition for
Sure.
the guests to go first and showcase what they got.
I've got my reusable water bottle with New York tap water. It's some of the best I've ever had. I grew up right by the reservoir that I'm drinking from, actually. So
Oh,
yeah, it's
okay.
just some tap water.
Yeah, but locally sourced, very close to the.
Yeah, man.
We'd love to hear that. I'm drinking something. So being up in Canada, like I just haven't seen as much like bottled Topo Chico that's come through the
Ooh,
mix here. But anytime I see it at a grocery store, I have to grab one, and
sure.
so I'm going to be drinking a very large 500 milliliter Topo Chico, the twist of lime flavor.
Oh yeah, I love that. Twist of lime's great. It's a great
Yeah.
little refreshing drink.
Um, I've when it comes to favorite Topo flavors for me, it's the grapefruit is a life changing drink of choice. But
Okay.
the fact that this is so like this is bigger than my face is crazy. So I'm it's still early in the morning and I'm fresh off the coffee, so we wanted to balance it out with some water as well. So
Right. Right,
yeah.
right, right. Yeah, I've had 2 cups today. We went to Dayglow Coffee. It's like an LA like coffee shop that they just moved to Brooklyn, and it's like
Oh.
insane coffee. Insane.
That's awesome. Well, Dylan, I know you
So
just fresh off the sip, but cheers to you, man. I'm really excited to do this with you.
Cheers. Yeah, man. Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
What's your favorite sticker on your water bottle? That's a question I always
Um,
ask for people that are, doing the water
okay.
beds of
So
choice.
this is a newer water bottle, but I think probably the Dead Guy sticker because I'd never seen them before, and they were like a really important band actually for Hudson Valley hardcore. They came to Poughkeepsie a lot, like
Mhm.
well before me. Now they were like starting to play shows again, and so I finally got to see them, and they were just like so sick live. So
Oh,
I
cool.
picked that up, and that's probably my favorite sticker on here. I think because of just getting to see them finally
Yeah.
in my old age. So
Yeah, sometimes it's the most recent edition. It's when you whatever you decide to put your stickers on, it's kind of a pain when you have to choose to overlap something and then something gets
oh
kind of
yeah, for
left in
sure,
the
dude, for sure,
so
for sure.
so Dylan, since it's our first time here on the show, because we've had, other people on multiple times, another Hudson Valleyite who's been on, Jay's been on twice, but for everyone's first time here, I always like to get a bit of someone's, hardcore origin story, how they kind of discovered heavier music
Sure.
and kind of what put them on the path. So what was that like for you?
So I kind of got into heavy music pretty young because I had two older brothers who were like metalheads, and my one of my older brothers was a drummer, and he would take me to shows at a really really young age, like 12, 13 years old, and they weren't like hardcore shows per se, but they were like mixed bill shows, and there'd be like crust bands, there'd be more kind of conventional metal bands, and then there'd be like his band, which was kind of I don't know, I would call it like a mix between like Primus and like Mr. Bungle, like very like heavy, but also very like kind of funk, kind of weird time signature kind of shit.
Mm,
And just through him and my other older brother, I just like found first it was metal, I would say. I think it was like Metallica and Sabbath. Like they were listening to that like behind closed doors, and I'd be like this little kid kind of like sneaking around the house, like hearing the shit,
mhm,
being played behind their room. And they were like the cool brothers that like I wanted to go hang out with, and I think that kind of sparked my interest initially. On my own, it was I kind of found like punk and like anarcho punk first. I don't know what it was. It was just kind of like the imagery, I think, of like certain like records and shit. Like I really liked kind of like the dark, weird kind of um like art of like Nick Blanco, who's this dude. He was the like I think he's the guitarist and singer of Rudimentary Peni, and like I like found that. I don't even remember how I found that art. Probably through my brother,
mhm,
and I just like I was definitely obsessed at first with like imagery and specifically like crass and like darker looking shit. I don't know
mhm,
why. I have no idea why it happened, but yeah, it was around I probably got into heavier music like 13, 14. That's
mm,
really when I got into it. And then I started my first band when I was 15 with some friends of mine that I'm still friends with today. And that was like my intro was essentially like 14, 15. Just picking up a guitar. Didn't know how to play it at all. I like got a guitar from my older brother's friend. He like gifted me his guitar
mhm,
and like a little combo amp. And he was like a big punk because there wasn't when I was going to shows initially, there was like a hardcore scene going on in Kingston, which is where I grew up specifically, but it was like not the scene that my brothers were hanging out in. They were definitely hanging out with like crusties. It was just like a bunch of like crusty kind of like street punks
right.
in this town called Woodstock, and that was definitely like my intro was like punk essentially, and I was
Gotcha.
like, this is cool. Like everybody's like dressing really different. This is awesome. And like
Yeah.
my brother had like a huge mohawk and shit. So I was just kind of I think attracted to the imagery at first,
Mm.
really, like when I was
Yeah.
like 14, 15. So
Yeah, that's interesting because I've read in, some of the zine interviews that you've done. I think I read that when you first saw the Bad Brains cover, that was just like a mind
yeah, yeah,
blowing
yeah,
kind of
totally.
experience. So, Like,
Yeah,
do you think
yeah.
the artistic side of hardcore? Because I think a lot of people can discover or get really invested or intrigued with something off of a variety of different things. It could be a logo of a band, it could be the artwork, it could be the song and the lyrics, and it could be a
Right.
combo of all those things. But is there anything specifically on the artwork side that resonated with you so strongly? Like, do you think that stems from something? Does that come from like maybe somewhere in your like how you were raised and what your parents were up to? I'm just kind of curious if there's something
Right,
deeper
right.
there.
Yeah, I think that's an interesting kind of pivot point. Both my parents were visual artists when they met each other. So
Mm,
they met each other in New York City in like the late 70s. And they met each other kind of as like I guess they were in their like early to mid 20s, and my dad was a carpenter, my mom was a student, and then she ended up becoming like a social worker, but they both were inherently artists. And I think
okay.
maybe that's where it kind of stems from a little bit. Like they're both like really or were my dad was an incredible visual artist, and I think he definitely influenced that, like showed me a lot of art as a kid at a young age, and I think like that probably is where it kind of stemmed from, I
Mm,
guess. I don't know.
yeah.
That's
No,
interesting. Yeah. I haven't
yeah.
really thought about it, to be honest, but that's
That's why we do this
like
on
where
the
it happened.
pod.
Right, 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 right.
So yeah, so it sounds like some people when they are singing in a band, they, are just like I had no musical bone in my body and the only thing
Mm,
I could do was a microphone. But it sounds like you started on guitar, and then when did, I guess, like doing vocals in a band kind of come into the picture?
sure, sure. Yeah, so I started playing guitar at 15, played guitar pretty much until I turned 20, and I was like essentially two pretty active bands in the area up until like my early 20s. And then I don't know, dude. I like my perspective for life kind of changed. I was like in a kind of a crappy place, and my buddies were starting like kind of like a chaotic hardcore band, like in the vein of like Converge and like Coalesce and like Burnt by the Sun, like definitely like again weird off timing kind of heavy shit. And they were doing tryouts, they were doing vocal tryouts, and I like had never done it. Like I played around with it with some of the dudes in AOA, like just jamming. Like I'd like at like when we were just like at practice, I'd like pick up the mic and just fuck around.
Sure.
And I tried out for this band, and it worked out because I think it's just like I think as a vocalist, I pull inherently just like from raw emotion at first, ultimately, and I think those dudes kind of picked up on that because I was just like I didn't, no technique. I was just like screaming my fucking head off. But the
Right.
dudes were like, "Oh, this you sound cool. Let's just you can do it." And so I tried out and I joined this band called After Hours
Okay.
in this is 2010, I think, or 2011, 2010. And that was my first band as a vocalist. I was in that band I think we were a band for about 6 years, and that was like strictly screaming. Like the later and like the recordings at the end, I like started to play with melody a little bit, but I still didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I was just like we do like one show, and I'd lose my voice completely. Like I couldn't talk for like 3 days because I was just like
Right.
just all using my throat, just like screaming as fucking hard as I could.
Hmm.
And it was fun. Some of the best shows I've ever played were with that band because I was also like I was young and there was a lot of energy like in that band. But yeah, dude, it was around 2010. I started singing and like screaming specifically, and then that band broke up, and then I was kind of like done. I was like kind of done with being in bands. Like I like always wanted to go to shows, always wanted to like I used to take photos a lot for bands, and I knew that I was gonna like do something.
Yeah.
But then Jack from AOA had some tracks, and he asked if I wanted to sing over him, and I was like, I'll do it, but I'm not going to scream. I'm going to do something different. I'm going to try to do something different. And
So
initially, it was just like, go ahead, go ahead.
yeah, yeah. So I was gonna ask, like, I guess you kind of scratch the itch of being like a chaotic, like scream only kind of vocalist, but like
Right,
to
right.
get back into it, you were like, I want to scratch it like a or I want to go into a different niche and I want to be able to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. I think like ultimately I just didn't want to lose my voice after every show. And I was just
Hmm.
like, it was like killing me. And I thought singing, like clean singing or like melodic singing would be easier on my voice, but it honestly isn't. I still fucking like destroy my voice. If I do it wrong or like I don't get the rest, like I'm
Right.
fucked. I'm fucked the next day. But initially the reason was I was like I want to try something different. Like all the bands that I've ever been in have always been there's always like they're all inherently within hardcore ultimately,
Right.
but every band has had something a little different. Kind of like I've challenged myself in different ways, and like the band that I was screaming in was like the style of music we were playing in general was just like very like mathy, kind of all over the place, and like AOA for me it was the vocals for sure. I was like,
Hmm.
I want to try something completely different, out of my comfort zone, and yeah, that's essentially why I think it started that way.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
really resonates with me in a lot of ways, just like because, like I think I have a similar mindset where it's like I know that I'll always be doing something when it comes to hardcore, but like the older I've gotten, like I'm turning 31 next month,
right.
and it's as I'm sure you know, and a lot of other people, like it becomes more difficult to like, have that space, whether it's like playing in a band or doing that. So being able to like be kind of intentional about like, okay, if I am going to be doing something musically, I really want to just like hyper focus on the thing that is like very like true to me versus like, oh, I'll
Right.
play in a fast band and I'll also do this and I'll do because that just like you can have a year of that, but like I'm speaking of someone who's like felt very burnt out over the last couple of years off of some of those things, and I'm trying to shift things, especially into 24, to be a little bit more intentional about the music and the creative stuff like this. So,
Sure.
um, but yeah, that is it is cool to think that like AOA would if the other members of that band was like, "No, we don't wanna take that chance of, like, having it only or not only, but maybe 90% of it be singing," it could have been a totally different band and, a lot of
Yeah.
things
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
have not even happened.
Absolutely. I mean, Jack literally just like let me do whatever I wanted. He was just like,
Mhm.
you do you like we found melodies together. And over the process of writing the newer stuff, like we definitely collaborate more. But like initially, we recorded it in Terry's attic. We were just like up in his attic recording the vocals and just like making shit up on the spot, like literally just like listening to the song once, just like writing the lyrics out and like scratching shit up. All right, let's try this, and then just like that's those are like the honestly the most like that's my favorite is like sitting in a room with people or jamming in a room with people and just like trying things out. And that's
Mm.
essentially just what we were doing. Just like, but ultimately they were just like, yeah, you do whatever you want. Just like try it out. And I don't know. I thought I was like, I was trying to emulate Danzig. Ultimately, I was just like, I just want to sound like fucking Jerry Only, I guess, or no, Jesus, I want to sound like Danzig,
Yeah, of
not
course.
Jerry Only. Sorry.
Yeah. No, that's all good. So like just to kind of like keep, the timeline of, when we're recording this episode and, things that have are either just happened or even anniversaries of. I know the last record that you guys put out, Grim Vision, is coming up on 2 years old now, which is
Yeah,
kind
yeah.
of crazy to think about.
Yeah, January, it'll be 2 years. It's crazy,
Yeah.
dude. It's
So
crazy how fast it's gone by.
yeah. Has that just felt like, you put it out yesterday?
Honestly, it does, for me at least. That was a really intense time for us because we were recording that, like, heavily into the pandemic. Like, it was that whole process took about a year, really.
Oh
It
wow.
was
Okay.
released in 20 it was released in January 2021, right? Yeah, yeah, it was
Yeah.
released January 2021, but we were recording throughout 2020. Like the summer of 2020, we had shit demoed out, or we had like a handful of songs demoed out, and like it just took a long time. Like we originally were gonna go
Oh,
out
it
to
was January
LA,
2022. Yeah, I was
2022.
like,
Sorry,
yeah,
sorry.
yeah.
Okay, excuse me.
We don't
Sorry,
have to make the
2022.
math right.
You're right. Whatever. I'm bad with timelines, dude. Yeah, so it was 2022, but that summer of 2021, like we were in the like it took a long time ultimately,
Hmm.
and
Yeah.
it was intense, and it was like especially recording vocals. My dad had died 2020, I think. Was it 2020? Yeah, it was 2020. It was the summer 2020, and then that whole process like leading up to recording was just like pulling from a lot of like dark places and shit. And so I think like it took a lot out of me
Hmm.
when we were recording vocals, and vocals took, I don't know, almost 2 weeks. I don't like we like spread it out because it was like, again, still like didn't I would blow my voice out and then we'd have to like wait, and I just have to like rest for 2 days, and then we would hit another song. So it just like
Right.
it was intense because I still didn't really know. I still don't know, but I feel a little more confident with like controlling my voice and like knowing when it needs to work. But even then, which was what, only 2 years ago, like I was like I'd blow it out and then we just have to wait essentially. So it took a long time.
Hmm.
But it does feel like yesterday. It really does. It feels
Hmm.
like we just released that, and it's just kind of been like this snowball of shows and opportunities which have been really incredible because of that, really, and because of like Close Casket and Justin like kind of vouching for us and putting us on cool shows and whatnot. So
Yeah.
yeah, it's wild. It's wild. It's already 2 years. Yeah, January it'll be 2 years. It's crazy,
Yeah. Yeah.
crazy,
And
crazy.
like I know with I gave the full record a spin, and there is a lot of like, there are some like definitely some songs that like lean heavy on like the riffs and the breakdowns and the huge moments, but there's a lot of really like s- songs that like I don't think you guys would play live, but if you guys were giving a proper like Grim Vision like front to back experience, like there are moments where I'm like there should be like candles lit and like spooky shit around. And
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
coming from a lot of the initial like hardcore that I was getting into definitely was on the melodic side. So I
Sure.
love to hear a lot of like the stuff that you've done musically and artistically, and I just think that there's a lot of diversity on the record, which is very cool.
Thanks, dude. Appreciate that. Yeah. I think like Typo was definitely a huge influence for us, just overall, the band.
Yeah.
Like maybe not completely like sonically. I think Typo is even like its own level of like musicianship. But like that aesthetic for sure. It
Right.
definitely plays into the music a little bit, I think. The
For sure.
spooky sad hardcore for sure.
Yeah. So talking about like just and just kind of going into the intro of this episode of like, I think there's a lot of people that they might they hear like a really distorted guitar and then they hear the singing and then like
Mm,
maybe they just like jump off immediately versus like kind of like getting
absolutely.
getting into the mix of that. So I'm just kind of curious, like I think post, pandemic, like hardcore, like that decade and era that we're all in, I think it's been the most open when it comes to like trying and tasting different types of heavier music.
Sure.
So I'm kind of just curious on your thoughts of that. Um, I can imagine that playing a fest or doing a support tour, I'm sure some people have come up to you and be like, I've never heard of a band like that has singing in the mix of that. And I
Right,
don't know if
right.
there's like some backhanded compliments that maybe go into that, but I'm just kind of curious on how you guys have maybe stuck out a little bit as a niche, but it's worked in your benefit or not.
Right, right. I mean, like ultimately what I'm doing is pretty polarizing. I think like a lot of people either like it or you don't. And again, another kind of another thing to touch on is like really like we're not doing something new. Like there's been
Right.
incredible hardcore bands that have been doing kind of like clean singing since the beginning of hardcore in some capacity. I just think we're putting our own little take on it, I guess.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I think our live show speaks for itself. Like ultimately, like yeah, you listen to the recordings and you're kind of like, oh, this dude's like doing some like power metal, heavy metal, kind of Life of Agony kind of thing. And like, I'm still in a hardcore band though. I'm still treating it like I've always treated it, being in a hardcore band, and putting all my emotion and putting, anger, whatever it is, behind it. And like, I'm just not screaming the same way. I'm just doing something a little different.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, yeah, I don't know if that answers the question, but that's I wanted to just, yeah, I think ultimately, like, we're doing something different, but we're not like reinventing the wheel. There's been incredible bands that have been like doing clean singing well before us, and there'll
Hmm.
be incredible bands that put their own take on it after us
For
ultimately.
sure. Yeah, yeah, and like this is coming from a place where it's like I remember the first time someone showed me twitching tongues, and this was like almost 10 years ago, and I was like, I didn't understand it, but now it's like multiple years later, like I'm like, okay, I get the whole aspect of it, and like
Yeah, yeah, man,
I
with
almost
age,
think
right? With age, exactly.
yeah with age, but I also think it's how I was saying it for you guys, like some bands, when you hear it on record, it just is like it's just like there's a misconnection point, but
Mm,
seeing it live kind of really seals the deal. I don't know if that is like more apparent for bands that have a differentiator when it comes to either vocals, or maybe there's like a more spastic side on the music side, but like I think it's a lot different than you just like hear a I don't know, like a Pain of Truth record, or like a Speed record, and you're just like, oh, I get it immediately. But like, I think there are some bands that have an extra challenge of being able to sell it on a live aspect.
sure,
But
sure. Yeah, that's true.
yeah.
That's a good way to put it, for sure,
Hmm.
for sure.
Um, so it kind of brings me to like a fun little exercise I wanted to do with you, Dylan. So if you're thinking about uh the bands who kind of do a similar thing, but it's not like a band that only has singing aspects is like they all sonically sound the same. There's all these different niches that a lot of those bands touch. But if you could build out kind of like a what did the I had like a little tag name for it. It's like a singing band showcase show.
A
So like
singing band showcase show.
yeah. So
Okay.
obviously AOA needs to be on there, but I'm gonna
Oh
let
man,
you decide where on the
how many?
bill.
Yeah. Where we are?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
So I'll give you and again, sky's the limit. So I'll say and this could be active or not. So if a band's doing some kind of reunion as well, that's fair
Okay.
game. So
Okay.
so five band total.
Five band total,
Yeah.
including AOA.
Including AOA. So you got four
Okay.
picks to
Okay. I
choose
got
from.
4 picks. So, club show, 200 cap room.
Oh, we're going
A-
oh, I love it.
oh yeah,
Okay.
dude. Oh yeah. AOA plays, either AOA opens or AOA plays second.
Mhm. Okay.
And I think the bands, I mean, again, like you're saying, like, so we'll just say all like, because some people will be like, oh, every band is singing. Fuck them. Only Living Witness headlines. Into Another plays second to last. Ooh. Um,
This is where the gears start to turn.
what else? I mean, LOA. I like. It's like, it would be disrespectful not to put Life of Agony on there too. All right. Only Living Witness. Into Another. Life of Agony. And then I have to just put respect where respect is due, and Twitching Tongues, I would say. And we would open. AOA would open for sure. AOA
That would
would
be
open that show.
yeah, I need to make a fake poster with this incredible show.
That'd be hilarious.
So 200 cap. What would be the 200 cap room if we were
New
doing this
York,
in New
100%. New
York?
York.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
absolutely,
We'll just make a
absolutely.
fake poster for this and just like throw it on Twitter and be like, "What if?" Um, Another question I had on this topic: is there anyone in any of the shows that you've played that you think is like a secret, like who secretly has a great singing voice for hardcore, but like maybe keeps it closer to their chest?
That's a great question. Let me think about that. Honestly, dude. Michael from Pain of Truth has a sick voice, and I think he could do whatever. Like he literally can do whatever. It's wild. That dude has
I
an
was not
incredible voice.
expecting like the little singing like ad libs that he would
Yeah,
add to
yeah,
some of the songs, and I'm
he
like,
does it
I want
sometimes, and
more.
I'm just like, oh, yeah, yeah. He rocks it, dude. And I've like got like it was really fun to like kind of watch them progress, and like going out on tour with them. I think in 2021, like because it was Mike. I think I'm pretty sure. Yeah, it's Mike's first band singing in a, like
Hmm.
that he's ever sang for, and like he just like fell into the role so fucking well. Like it's wild. And then the later stuff with what is it? Snake in Disguise, where like Colin sings on there. He's like the guest vocal
Hmm.
on that song. Sometimes he's Michael just has to do it himself, and like it comes out, and I'm just like, oh, okay, dude, you might be able to.
We
You can
love
have
Colin, but you know, Michael, you
you
can do it
you might
too,
not
bro.
even need him. I think you do it yourself, dude. I think you do it yourself. Yeah, that record rocks, too. That record's fucking crazy.
Dude, insane.
It's
I think
crazy.
it's definitely in my top 10 of this
That's
year.
a legacy record, dude. That's gonna be around well after us, dude. Like it's wild. It's so cool that to like just whatever be close to that. It's very
Hmm.
cool. So
Yeah.
yeah, I would say Michael has pipes. I think he doesn't give himself enough credit, or he probably does. I hope he does now. Uh, um, fuck, who else? I'm trying to think. Um, I don't know. Yo, fuck Andrew from Combust, dude. That dude has pipes too. I've no like
Oh.
his vocals are wild live. I think the new song they did a little there's some melody when we played with them in Canada. They did two new songs, and
Mm.
there was a little melody. I think I don't remember, but like he's got insane pipes too, and fucking I bet he could rock it with some
Yeah.
like because he's a heavy metal dude. I think he was talking to me. He's like a big heavy metal dude.
Hmm.
So like or I think he could do it too, honestly.
Yeah.
He probably
Well,
has sick
I'll have
pipes.
to I'll have to keep an ear out for that because we're in the midst of releasing all of the Hold Your Ground 2023 sets. Obviously,
Oh,
Combust
right,
played
right.
that.
They play
And
okay, they played some new stuff, I hope.
yeah, yeah, I believe so. I also he was wearing a bright yellow polo hat and polo kind of like a I don't know if
Unmatched
it's like a
style. Unmatched
un
style.
in crazy style.
Unmatched.
And he like pulled off
Unmatched
the
style.
polo, yellow shirt and it was like another polo shirt underneath. He's like, more polo.
That's right, baby. He
Yeah,
need he needs to he needs to be sponsored, bro. He
yeah,
needs
yeah.
to be
We
sponsored.
need a Combust polo sponsorship ASAP. Since you brought up Pain of Truth, though, obviously, you guys doing the split together, was I remember when we were doing our recaps of last year because I think we did like we were doing something called the Scopies, so we were just kind of like giving these fake unimaginative awards out to all these dope releases, and I think that was definitely on like the contenders for like split of the year, and still
Sick.
listening back to that, like I still think that was in a moment, obviously, where Pain of Truth was about to shoot out of the fucking, like, uh, circus cannon into the moon. But also, like, that before Grim Vision was like a huge, like, combination of bands. And
Mhm.
sometimes,
Mhm.
sometimes it's, I don't view everything in hardcore obviously as a competition, but I think there's a time where you can look at splits where a band just shoot out and either one also it's very rare for the band to also kind of shoot out and do like a bunch of stuff
Right.
and
Oh, dude, yeah, there are plenty of I know what you're saying, totally. There's like a
sometimes the
split
band
where like
like
one band pops off and the other band kinda like whatever,
either fizzles
fizzles
out or
out or
whatever.
whatever.
So
Sure.
but I'm
Sure.
curious if like someone either seeing like listening to the Pain of Truth record or seeing them at the tour they're on now, they go back to the earlier stuff and then they find you guys
Right.
like
Right.
how is that split in retrospect, I guess, with everything that
I think it
Pain of
I
Truth is up to?
so we recorded it's funny actually, we recorded those songs after we recorded the Grim Wisdom album. Like it all happened around the same time. So we finished recording that and then we wrote and recorded those right after, and that you know came out first. The split came out first because it was like a much less production. It was just like Jack, our guitarist, essentially, recording, mixing, mastering, or I think Taylor mixed and mastered or mastered.
Mm.
But still, it was a much smaller kind of piece that we could get done a little faster. And I'm pretty sure Alex from Streets of Hate just asked us and Pot if we wanted to do it. I'm pretty sure that's how it happened. And I mean, looking back now, I think it was one of the best things we've ever recorded, honestly. And those songs like are some of the best that we've written so far. And yeah, that's split. I hope it's again kind of like the newest record. I hope it's like something that people can look back on and find, after they see Pot at a show or something like that, or they hear, it's like a cool little gem in like
Hmm.
the pile of like splits that come out and that are important for some. So yeah, really
Yeah.
cool that we got to do that with them. Really grateful that we got to do that with them.
Do
So
you think that there is any underrated or underappreciated AOA songs?
underrated, underappreciated AOA songs. That's a good question. Because I think that's subjective. I think everybody in the band would probably have a different answer.
Yeah.
Um, for me, I like fucking love this song on our first EP, Cowboy Behavior, with like the organs and shit. I don't
Mm.
know what it is about that song. It's just I pretty much am singing the same notes the whole time, like I'm singing like two notes. But and it's kind of sludgy. It's a little different from kind of the more dynamic stuff that Jack wrote later in the band. I don't know. There's just some energy around that song that I just love, and I think like sometimes it pops off, and sometimes people are like, eh. Like it's a good. I convinced the guys to start putting it back in the set because I think it's a good opener. I think people like hear it and then they all like finish their cigarettes and they like trickle back in and it like gives
Sure.
us some time to it's kind of like a good like opening song to kind of get the energy up.
Right.
So for me it would be Cowboy Behavior, um, and it would be I think another song off of Grim Wisdom. Um, the last song, Casualty of Time, which is like very different from the rest of the album. I think like it's got like this kind of like soft kind of melodic vocal thing that like I think there's like a little interlude where I do something kind of similar on the first side of the record. But that song too, I think is like it's a fast song too. It's like fast, and I want kids to fucking start doing circle pits again and doing side to side a little bit more because I think it's
Dude, thank you
I
for
want I
saying that.
want it. I want it, man. I want that shit to come back. That's what I did when I was a kid, and I don't. You're never too cool. You're never too cool to do some side to sides. Let's go.
Dude,
Come on.
it's like I look at circle pits or like fast parts or like fast moshing styles where it's like like hardcore whatever subgenre you're gonna do like needs the fast part to make the breakdown or the two step,
Right,
like you need that contrast, right?
right. For that boom, that big explosion of like the slow part or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Totally,
So
totally.
it's like if we as a community don't like entertain those parts historically, like people are just not going to write fast parts, and then we're just going to have
Right,
mid-tempo hardcore forever, and that's going
right,
to
right,
suck.
right, right, right. That's
So,
true. That's a really good way to put it for sure. Because it's right. What is hardcore if not for crowd participation, right? Like that's
mhm.
such a huge aspect of it. And like if like half the set motherfuckers are just like standing there like to like bang their heads to the fast song, like the fast part, like I don't know, it definitely like whatever. People are going to perform whether or not people are moving around, but like it makes a difference, man, when you see people with that energy out in front of you and like it makes a huge difference. Like there have been shows where like depending on like the energy in the room, like just like you feed off of it. You just like it
Mhm.
just starts energizing you in a different way. And I think like I hope, man, I hope fast hardcore never dies, and I hope people start running around more and fast moshing or whatever and fucking more chaos. I like the chaos of the
Yeah.
fast parts for sure.
I think like at the same time you have to be self-aware about it, because like when I see a band it's like circle pit and it's like the third time someone that's told me to do that, it's like, I don't want to do that.
Sure,
So
sure, sure, sure. Yeah, there's a limit to that. Yeah, of
yeah,
course, of
there
course.
was one. I think I found the right balance where we got to the song that like starts off very fast all the way through, and then there's a big kind of more like tom breakdown kind of at the end. And I would start
Sure.
the song with like, I'm gonna make a promise. This is the only time I'm gonna ask you to circle pit during our set, but if it's the only time, you have to do it. We all have to be on the same page about it. And 9 times out of 10, we would get like the biggest circle pit of the show.
There you
And then
go.
so
Hell
you
yeah,
have to be
dude.
creative with it at times.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Exactly. Exactly.
So since we've spoken about a lot of like the release material, and I have first off, I have to apologize, Dylan, because I think sometimes with my ADHD, I'll have something in my mind of like, oh, this is what the thing is. But I think I've been mispronouncing your album. Instead of Grim
Oh,
Wisdom, I've been saying Grim Vision, which is like
yeah, but
a random
doesn't
little
matter. No, I
band
think I
from
know why.
Saskatchewan that I've like totally forgotten about up until this moment.
That's
So
cool. I
I
didn't know that
apologize.
though. Are they good? Are they a good band?
Uh, I would I've filmed them before, but
Okay.
I would not say like I would not give them any more praise than mentioning them already on this
All right.
podcast.
Well,
So
I'll check their Bandcamp out if they got a
yeah,
Bandcamp or some shit.
I
It's all
I
good.
don't even know if they have a Bandcamp anymore. So but as
Grim
far
Vision.
as
It's all good, dude.
yeah, as far as things upcoming in the future and plans for 2024, obviously when the talks of what's coming up in the future, usually there's more things that you can't say versus what you can. But I
Sure.
am curious, anything that you want to tease fans of the band as far as what y'all have been working on.
So we just finished we finished the year out pretty strong. We went to Europe and did a tour with this Scotland band called Despise. Incredible, incredible, metallic, kind of like
Love that band.
I don't, a little death inspired in there too. Just like really incredible guys, incredible band. We finished doing a 6-day run with them in mainland Europe, and that's how we've finished the year essentially. And now we are chilling for a bit, and we're writing again. So who knows? It could be in a year or 2 years. We're really gonna try to. I think we got one more LP in us. I hope so. We're gonna take some time off and just like write, because it's hard to get everybody in the same room all the time. I live in New York City. I moved to New York City 12 years ago, maybe. Yeah, 12 years ago. And so like usually if like we have shows coming up, we know that we're going to practice for those shows. But like to have the time to or to have the scheduled time to like just jam out and try new songs, it's kind of like one or the other. It's like, all right, well,
Mm,
we're going to book a bunch of shows out and we're going to rehearse for those shows. We're going to rehearse different sets for those shows. So now we're just chilling from shows for a bit, and we'll take some time to write and just be in a room together and just kind of try things out. So yeah, we're writing. That's really what's on the docket for us. We're just like taking a little break from shows, and yeah, hopefully writing another record. We'll see.
yeah. Well, yeah, I'm looking forward to that, and hopefully there will be maybe some one-offs, whether it's like a fest here and there versus like
We'll see.
trying to stay busy
We'll
on the
see.
road. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see. Yeah,
Um,
we're weekend warriors for sure right now. But
yeah,
if we do another record, we wanna do it right. We wanna like go out for a while, for
yeah,
3 weeks or something, and really and like tour it out. So
yeah,
hopefully that'll be the future. We'll see.
yeah. Um, Dylan, one of the kind of like final things that I wanted to talk to you about, just researching, for this podcast is, I guess like outside of music, like you're very big in production and film and a lot of those other things. What came first, music or that?
Well, I guess music came first when it came to like a creative outlet.
Hmm.
Um, because I was just like I picked up a guitar very young. Like I first started playing guitar in elementary school, got bored, dropped it, and then picked it up later in life, and whatever, played in punk bands. But like filmmaking kind of happened. I mean, in kind of at the same time, like we had like VHS cameras at the house, and I would make stupid movies with my little brother and my friends. And I think I started shooting shows in the Hudson Valley too. Like that was something that I think kind of influenced it
Mm,
ultimately. And like I would shoot whether it's photography or video. I did kind of both sometimes at shows, and uh, it kind of happened at the same time. To be honest, I just like I had an affinity for movies at a young age. My dad like was a huge movie guy. I grew up with divorced parents, so he'd like pick me up on Fridays, and there was a place called Allison Videoland in Kingston where I grew up, and it was like
okay.
$5 Fridays, and so you'd pick up 5 movies for $5, and we would just like binge movies all weekend, and that was like really important to me as a kid, I think,
Mm,
and he showed me a lot of incredible films, and I yeah, I later in life I would do, like whatever music videos for friends and whatnot and like little stuff. But I never really saw like what that outcome really looked like. And then I graduated high school and I was just playing in bands at that point. And my mom had asked me, she's like, "Oh, just like do me a do me a favor and just like apply to some colleges." Cause I was kind of like in this realm in my 20s. I was like, all right, done with high school. We're touring. We're being in a band. That's it. I'll work at this restaurant and I'll go, tour
right.
when I can and whatever. And she asked me to apply to colleges. I applied to Brooklyn College in the city. I got in, and that's really where I was like, oh, like there's an insane industry here in the city, and I just got into it. I fell into lighting. I specifically do like lighting and rigging. I'm
Mm,
a grip on set, and I just like saw like a role that needed to be filled within like our film school, and that I kind of fell into that role, and then that kind of trickled into my work life, and then I've been working as a grip in electric, well, mostly a grip for like 8 years now in the city.
okay.
So yeah, I don't know. It's an interesting question. There are like other things that happened earlier in life. Like my mom dated this photographer, and he was like he showed me what a set was like at a very young age. I was like 13, and he like took me to sets. So I've kind of got the bug early.
Right.
Um, and yeah, I don't know. It's like a little ant colony of creative people, and everybody has a different role, and like you all kind of have like this common goal. We're all trying to like get this piece of art or this product, at the end of the day. And I'm always like one of the reasons also why I like being in a band is like collaborating with other people, and like it's just that on like an even bigger scale. You're like
Right.
working with, instead of 5 people, it's 50 people, and you're all collaborating towards a piece of art. And I think like that also attracted to me at first too. It's just like I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what it was, man. I just like I got into movies at a young age, and then I just like saw that was there was an industry there where I could make some money, and that's like how I support myself now. And it's like good for scheduling when it comes to like playing in bands, because I can essentially like take a movie and then take a little break and then like go tour, for a week or something like that, and then come back and work on another short-term project essentially. So it's like it's forgiving. The schedule is forgiving for me for
Yeah.
sure. So I can
Yeah.
schedule
Because
things.
yeah, it was cool to kind of like see that because I think I am on a similar like I had a similar path, but like I think the thing for me is that like I loved watching movies and like learning all these things about film, but it seemed out of reach for me. And
Mm,
like I definitely went more of the route of like the content creator. Like I love like I watched so many different YouTubers growing up. So like it's not that I aspire to be that specifically, but like the and this is another I think caveat or connection with the hardcore space is that like I love the instant gratification of like you make something and then you can like put it
100%,
online for your audience to see. While with
100%.
film or things like that, like I had friends who were, doing like working in that industry and you could be working on a movie, but it might not come out for 10 months
Right,
already.
right,
So for
right,
me, that
right.
was like like so mind breaking. I was like, I would think I would drive myself mad.
Sure,
Like
sure.
so yeah, like I think that there's like a slightly different avenue that I've taken where a lot of the stuff I do now is very like on the creative side is totally different, but like I have a huge I love I recently watched the Netflix did like obviously most people know like the show Squid Game that was on Netflix, but they did a version
Oh,
that
I
was like
watched
more
it.
of like
Oh,
the
I watched
reality
it.
show version.
Yeah, yeah. It
But
was fucking
immediately after watching, I watched the making of, and
yeah,
there was
yeah, yeah, yeah.
so many cool details about how they, had to make all the squibs for when people got eliminated to like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
camera
yeah.
placements. Like that to me is like I love watching that from like someone on the sideline who has like
Sure.
an appreciation and an understanding, but like
Right.
just maybe never got on the other side of the fence for that. So
Sure. I mean, to go back to what you were saying, like I think filmmaking for me as well, like I felt that initially too, because I was getting into the industry when like at least in film school we were still shooting on film a little bit,
right.
but that was on its way out. And I think what's happened more recently is that like filmmaking has become very democratized, and especially with YouTube and especially with like Vimeo and like the internet in general, like you can just pick up a camera, like a whatever, a prosumer digital camera or whatever, your fucking iPhone, and you can make a film with your friends and it's actually seen by people. And I think um initially I felt the same way. I was just like, this it's like such a club, like I can't be a part of this. And ultimately I just think like the industry is just changing. I think more people are able to make films that like haven't been able to make films ever, really, just because of like uh what's accessible for everybody
Hmm.
now. Like, so I mean I totally get what you're saying too, but like, bro, you can pick up a camera, get some friends together, put that shit on YouTube, and if you you do it well, like people see it, and you never know. Someone might reach out and be like, "Hey, can you do a music video for me?" And then it
Hmm.
snowballs. And I think now more than ever, people can get involved in filmmaking and be successful at like varying levels, varying
Hmm.
levels.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, I wanted to be when I first got into filmmaking, like I wanted to be a cinematographer, like I wanted to be like the camera guy. And I figured out pretty quickly that like that wasn't my path. My path, like I just wanted to just get on set as much as possible, and so that's kind of why I chose the department that I'm in now, because I'm just like, there's always a need for somebody to pick up lighting and
Hmm.
rigging gear and whatever, assemble it, put it back on the truck, etc. It's like being a stagehand essentially, and like I just yeah, I just wanted to get on set as much as possible, but at the same time. Uh, like you're saying, like there's been so many projects that I've never seen, like that I just like worked on and they've like never shown up. But that work has allowed me to still do like music videos on the side. Like I do
Right.
music videos for people, and like I can afford I can ask my other work friends to like help me on projects and shit like that. So like
Hmm.
I don't know. Yeah, I think being in New York is also,
Yeah, that's a big
a
factor as well
thing.
versus being
There's
in like Canada, like Calgary, Alberta versus like,
right,
New
right,
York. Like
right,
that's
right.
so
It
much
is.
shit
It's
is being
different
shot
for
there every
sure.
day.
Right. I mean, I was just working with a dude from Vancouver yesterday. He was an absolute sweetheart of a dude, and he was talking to me about like he was like asking me about crew members. He's like, "Do you know any crew members that would like come up to Vancouver?" And I was just like yeah, I guess like it's just small. It's just that I guess what I'm saying is like it is a smaller industry ultimately.
Yeah.
But it's there, dude. It's there. I like he was telling me I didn't realize that Fargo was shot up there in Canada. I think he was I
Hmm.
don't remember where he said it was shot. Yeah, I had no idea Fargo was up there. That's so sick. I literally thought they were just shooting Fargo in North Dakota.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
literally thought
I
that's
think
really where.
there's some stuff in Fargo that was shot in Calgary actually.
Yeah, yeah.
Specifically actually on in my neighborhood
Yeah,
of
that's what
all
he was
places, which
saying
is funny.
Calgary. He was like, "Yeah, we was like up in Calgary like working
Yeah.
on stuff." So like,
Did you watch the Last of Us,
yeah.
the TV
Yeah, yeah.
show?
Sure.
So the
Yeah.
majority of that was all shot in like Alberta. So a
Oh,
combination of
cool.
Calgary,
See, I yeah, I didn't know
Edmonton,
that.
Banff, High River, like all
Sick,
these, like
sick.
literally like all the, because a lot of it, there's a lot of CGI stuff that they have to do for that. But like I'm like I've driven down that road like almost every single day. I've
Yes,
like,
dude.
just
Yes, totally.
all. I'm curious.
It's so funny.
I'm sure you've done that, like going around Brooklyn, like showing people, the local
It's
spots and like,
happening in the Hudson Valley, dude. It's happening in the Hudson Valley a lot. Like all
yeah,
these shows, like Ben Stiller's show on Apple. What is it called?
I'll look it up for you.
Ah, fuck, I'm forgetting what it's called. It's so good. He's like in an office.
Severance. Yeah, yeah,
Severance is all shot in the Hudson Valley, and I'm like watching the show, and I'm just like, oh shit, that's that bridge. Oh shit, that's that road. Like it is exciting to see that stuff, to see that shit immortalized, in a
right.
certain way. It's kind of funny.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I think like I think a because I like to leave little like personal like Easter eggs for stuff that I'm hoping to do with Scoped in the future. But like, and I think it's also like holding myself accountable because like I said it on this podcast with Dylan, I have to do it eventually. But like something that I do want to scratch the itch of, because we film sets, we do this podcast, we do a number of other things. But something I hope
Right,
that we get
right.
to do is kind of more like documentary style work where we can like either do something that's a little bit more broad off of like, all of like it's a tall task to do an entire like Western Canada documentary or something like
Sure,
that.
sure.
It's
It,
something that I would like to see, but I
like
also like,
music scene specific though. Like you do it. Yeah.
yes,
Okay. Cool.
yeah.
Cool.
So, and maybe it's like more Canadian hardcore because I feel like there's a lot of things to connect kind of the Eastern and Western halves of the
Sure.
country. But I
Sure.
think I also like the, the Vice style, like just doing like a really like weekends worth of shooting synopsis off of like I've had this idea for the longest time just to do like a weekend in film the blank hardcore town. So
Sure.
like if it was like a weekend in the Hudson Valley and it would be like
Dude, be
hanging
sick.
out with
Yeah.
AOA and Mind Force, and obviously you'd have to probably plan it around some kind of show, but like
Sure.
in the
Sure.
mix of that, like seeing all of the local food spots and all the
Right.
historic aspects of that. So
Right.
that's something I'm hope like obviously I know some things about a camera and all of that, but like that would be something where it's like, okay, I want to have a dedicated, person on photography and someone on sound and all these different things. So
Hey man, I'd be happy to help you with that type of stuff for sure. It's like I
if
think
we do a weekend in Hudson Valley, you're going to be the first person I hit up about
100%.
that. So,
Absolutely. I got the gear for you. You're good. You don't even have to bring the gear. You're good for
okay,
sure.
hell yeah,
I think preservation is important, and I think documenting specifically like documentaries are like there's not enough of that shit honestly for hardcore music. But I think now more than ever there's a lot of, like I was saying, you can pick up a camera and you can document something, or you can create something and release it for free on YouTube, and like
hmm
it's just, again, just more democratized than it's ever been. Like anybody can do it, and I think that's like a really cool strength ultimately, like especially for, you know whatever, hardcore, punk, metal, whatever genre. It's just like you can document something, and like, and then that now it's a part of history, where it's like a little bit harder, I think, like to find, like there's, YouTube is a treasure trove of incredible videos from the 90s and the 80s and 70s or whatever. But yeah, now more than ever, you can just pick up a camera and you can document something, and it's become a part of the fabric of, whatever music scene. It's pretty cool. I think it's very cool.
yeah. Are we going to see an Age of Apocalypse music video for the next release?
I want to try to do one. I think I really want to take the time and do one. I think we'll have, like, it would have been rushed. Like I was trying to make one happen for the last album, but it it
Mm,
it, it just wasn't the right timing. But with this, I think we're gonna. I'd love to do at least one. I think it would be really fun. Like, because I did them for other bands. I've always done like small music videos for friends and my previous bands. But like, I'd love to do at least one for AOA. That
yeah.
just it'd be fun for sure.
Yeah, I think that like when I see bands, I guess like finally do that, and it could be not doing it. The reason is just there's not enough time or budget to do that, and some people just like flat out are like, are like we're a type of hardcore that doesn't do music videos, and then it's like they finally
Right.
find their way to do it, and then it's sick.
I
So
think, yeah, I think because like I've asked people in bands like if they've wanted videos, and like certain people are definitely like, no, we're not that type of band. We don't really need that. And I think like music videos are also very polarizing, right? Like you're solidifying whatever the way this person looks, the way, this style in a video, and like I get that respect. Like I think ultimately though, like you can find a way to do it where like I don't, it doesn't feel corny, I guess. I don't know. Because that's kind of like the word that I hear sometimes when I talk to people about like doing music videos. They're like, yeah, I don't want to like come off to, like whatever. It's just like a performance video and they're just performing to the camera kind of vibes. And that's like, it's different. It's just different when there's a camera in your face like that and like you're performing for a music video than, compared to performing on a stage. And I
right.
think people might feel like it's a little more contrived and they don't want to be portrayed that way. And I totally respect that.
Mhm.
But like, I don't, might as well give it a try. I'd love to like, I don't know. I would, any of my friends out there, you want a music video, let me know. I'll help you out. I'll help you out. I'll make you look cool. Don't worry. You're gonna look
Yeah.
great.
Yeah.
You're
I
not
just
gonna
have
not be cool.
yeah, I've just always viewed it as just it's another way to like showcase the music or like lead people
Yeah,
to
dude.
that.
Totally.
Like,
Totally. Absolutely. I think like sound and music is like extremely visual. And then like, I don't know. It's just, yeah, it's just another, right. It's another way to lead people to that music. I
mhm,
think. I don't know. I think there were like there are some incredible band. Life of Agony has sick music videos. Like there are so many bands of within our world that have like such cool, tasteful music videos, and I think it's just another medium for
mhm,
for for the music to kind of be interpreted, which is cool. So
yeah. Dylan, as we start to wrap up, I ask kind of like the same outro question for every guest before we start to end towards the closing notes. Off the top of your head, tell us a mosh related story that could either be wholesome, gruesome, it's AOA related or not. That's how we start to end the show. It was just like
okay,
hit it with a off the cuff
um,
mosh related story.
off the cuff Marshall's story. I mean, I go to this story a lot because it was like you go to those shows and it's just like it's so dangerous that like you're never gonna forget this moment. You're just like, holy shit, like this is straight up trauma. This is trauma. This is happening
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
This is fucking crazy.
And I
We
love it.
went, yeah, yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was just like, and I want this all the time.
Mhm.
We a bunch of the dudes in AOA and myself. This is an old story too. This is really old, and I might get
Mhm.
some of it wrong, but fuck you, Terry. I love you. We went to Jersey. We were following Trash Talk, and we went to Jersey. It was like I think it was somewhere in North Jersey or like in the middle, and it was like Elks Lodge type of place. And yeah, this dude that we were hanging out with, just like he said hello to some chick, and she like didn't like the way that he said hi to her, and she like took out her taser, and she like did like whatever, like shot the taser a little bit at him, like the little shoot. He was like, "Oh, my bad, my bad." And 10 seconds later, like that dude and all like we're not from Jersey. We're like these like very young kids. We were 15. We were like 15, 16. Young ass kids from upstate New York, surrounded by like fucking 30-year-olds. And they're like, yo, what'd you say to my girlfriend? What'd you say to my like, it was that era where just like there's gonna be a fight no matter
Right.
what. And he's like, yo, what the fuck did you say to my girlfriend? And we are just like, yo, like we didn't mean anything, didn't mean anything by it. He's like, what are your names? And he's like, because I'm gonna beat you up alphabetically. And then and we all started like laughing. And like he's like, yeah, whatever. He like it like
Dylan starts
it
sweating. He's
de-escalated.
like, "Oh, I am
Yeah,
like so
it
high up the list."
de-escalated. Yeah, it de-escalated kind of quick. But he's like, yo, come in and see my boys' band. And we went in, and it was this band called Disaster. And it was like I mean, it was just like insane, dude. There's like people pile driving the merch tables. All the merch tables broke. There were like basketball hoops on either side of the fucking the space, and they're like dudes like jumping on the basketball hoops and just like kicking people on the head.
What
And
in the world?
there was a dude with like branches. He like brought branches in, and he was like moshing with tree branches and shit. It was, dude, it was nuts. It was fucking nuts. And I'm like 15 or whatever, 16, and I'm just like freaked out. So anyway, so that was like during that band, it was crazy, and they were obviously
Oh
targeting all of
man.
us. And so all the dudes like all of my friends bounced during that set, and I stayed for the whole fucking set. It was insane because I was
Mm.
tiny, and maybe they didn't see me as much.
Yeah, you
But then
dodging all the
Trash Talk played.
branches.
Yeah. So end of the story. End of the story. Trash Talk plays, and during Trash Talk set, Lee punches me so hard in the head with a microphone that for 2 weeks I had a bruise in the shape of a microphone in the side of my temple. And it
Mm.
literally like grates, like it was just like little grates and shit all over the side of my temple. And that was just like icing on the cake of just like one of the most chaotic shows I've ever been to in my life.
Wow.
So yeah, I guess that would be a fun mosh story. That was
So was
crazy.
anyone in your, I guess, posse like named Adam or Barry or Chris, or were you, as soon as he said alphabetical, you're like, oh, I would be first again.
Let me think. Hold on. That's a good question. Bro, I think I would have been like first or second for sure.
Dude,
Yeah.
that is such. That's like the best way to threaten someone. Like, what are
Dude,
your
it
names?
was
Because
like
I'm
it
gonna
was
beat you up
so funny.
alphabetically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And like the way he said it wasn't funny. It was fucking tough. But
Yeah, he
like
was 100%
we
serious.
just started cracking up, dude. We were cracking up. It was crazy. It was crazy.
Wow,
But like it was,
wow.
yeah, it was wild. It was wild.
That's that's in the contenders for like top 15, top 10 stories told this season. So
it's just like I know it's like you can't make this shut up, bro.
no, you
Like
can't.
it's just like I don't like it's ingrained in there. Like it happened to me, and I was just like, I'm never gonna forget this. I'm never
No,
gonna forget this experience. And I
yeah.
and I haven't. And it was like one of the best shows I've ever been to.
And now it's, archived on the podcast
There we
forever.
go.
We
It's
love it.
documented. Yes, it's
Yes.
documented.
Dylan, this has been a very, very fruitful and enjoyable conversation. All the links for your stuff as well as Age of Apocalypse will be in the show notes and in the description of the video version of this podcast. Anything you want to plug, hype up, or send the people off with before we go?
I want to plug Terry's new band, Quiet. They're like kind of fast, hardcore. He's singing, and I want to plug Jack's new band, Godskin Peeler. They're incredible. They're blowing the fuck up. And I want to plug um, Streets of Hate. They're our family. Those I've known Alex and Nicole since I was a wee one, and they've like helped us out with everything. Um, and I want to plug Northern Unrest and Despise and all those dudes. They're just incredible people, and you got to check out Northern Unrest and like their roster of bands. They're just incredible, like curators of UK and Scotland hardcore. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah. Yeah. Some great local familia as well as like a bunch of like great European
Hardcore
friends
worldwide.
as well.
Hardcore worldwide.
That's how we do it. Dylan, thank you again for your time and
Thanks for having me,
the
Spencer.
very fun conversation. I hope that we
Cool,
can do
man.
this again sometime.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
And we're out.